In Luke 5, there's a story where Jesus is preaching on the shore to a large crowd, so large they couldn't easily hear him. So Jesus had the idea of using a boat to help address the crowd. He saw Peter with a few other fishermen at the dock washing their nets. They were no doubt exhausted after a long night of fishing. But that's when Jesus interrupted their plans for the first time. It was a simple ask. Can you take me a little offshore so I can address the crowd? The Bible doesn't tell us Peter's response. It doesn't tell us if Peter was thinking, all I want to do is go home, sleep, and forget this long, awful night of fishing I just had. All we know is Peter obeyed, and soon Jesus was standing on the edge of a boat, teaching the large crowd. When Jesus finally finished teaching, he told the fishermen, let's have a little adventure. Let's put the boat into the deep waters and cast your nets down. Finally, Peter lets Jesus know what kind of day he was having. He said, Master, we toiled all night and took nothing. I wonder what his inner dialogue was. Was he thinking, I'm the expert fisherman and I know how this is supposed to work? Again, we don't know what Peter was thinking, but we do know Peter was obedient. He said, because you said so, I will cast down my nets. This is when the miracle happens. Peter casts his net off the boat, and the next thing he knows, there are so many fish, his nets begin to break. In fact, they had to signal another boat to come and help them, and both boats were so full of fish, they almost began to sink. The very sea that offered them nothing the night before now seemed to have an endless catch. These guys were no strangers to big catches, but this one was supernatural. Peter is so taken back by it, he falls to his knees and says, get away from me, Lord. I am a sinner. I imagine Jesus smiled here. This wouldn't be the last time Peter didn't understand what Jesus was trying to show him. Jesus said, do not be afraid, for I'm going to make you a fisher of men from now on. And when they brought their boats to land, they left everything and followed him. The amazing thing about this story was that Peter had all of his plans interrupted. The very short-term plan of ending a long day of fishing, instead of letting the day come to an end, he obeyed Jesus' simple request of letting him use the boat. It's a practical picture of the way Jesus uses us, using whatever simple things we have to accomplish the greater mission. But I think what Jesus loved most about Peter was he was willing to follow the call even when he had other plans. Not only did he interrupt the plans for the day, he interrupted their careers, their very plans for their lives. Peter was a career fisherman, but by following Jesus, he would go on to lay the very foundations of the church itself. It didn't start with anything grand. It started with a simple act of obedience. I wonder what simple act of obedience God is calling you to. Jesus is not looking for the most rich or talented or powerful or connected. He's looking for the humble and obedient. Are you willing to let God interrupt your plans? Are you willing to set something aside and open up your hands and say, okay, God, here I am, use me. This is a dangerous, bold prayer. But if you're willing to pray it, I believe just like Peter, God is something so much greater than anything you could have planned for yourself.